This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
It is a modality that it's almost surprising that it works so well for so many different situations. I've used it, game changer in my life. And what's so interesting is many of us, myself included at one point, had an aversion to it. I don't really know what they're doing there when it comes to this thing called hypnosis, only to learn that we're in a hypnotic state many times during the day. Naturally, we just don't realize it. We're going to talk about that a little deeper today and look at something called negotiation versus aggression within hypnosis. He helps so many people through that modality and has given us so much insight in the times we've gotten together with Bart Walsh, who is back with us today. How's everything going with you?
Wonderful, Steve. Good to see you. Hope
You too.
everything is well at your end.
It's good. I know you're in Oregon. We got snow over here in New York, about 13 inches yesterday. Kind of cold. What's going on by you?
Cold but sunny.
Okay.
So we lucked out. We got freezing at night anyway. Not freezing during the day, but no snow.
And do you
So
typically get snow in a winter season?
we may get a week of snow per year, and it's usually not much more than that.
Wow.
So in Oregon, when it snows, it's a holiday for everybody. The schools close, businesses close. It just turns into a holiday.
Yeah. So instead of people complaining about it, they're embracing it in a lot of ways. So this thing, negotiation and aggression,
Uh-huh.
when it applies to hypnosis, tell us about that.
Well, I if we consider that hypnosis is really communication with the unconscious, direct communication with the unconscious, I like to always respect the unconscious and engage the unconscious in as gentle a way as possible because there are just so many resources there. And so old style traditional hypnosis used commands and suggestions when working with people. The operator would tell the subject that was hypnotized what he or she was going to do, or how something was going to be experienced, and there would be a lot of command language in that. And now that can work very well for many people. But in my practice, I've found negotiation is much nicer to the unconscious, and it's a nicer way to engage the unconscious rather than with commands. The unconscious can often be put off and say, "Heck no, we're not going there. This is some jerk telling us what to do." And so. With negotiation, it's about asking questions and seeing, is this possible? Is that possible? And is this situation truly in your best interest, or would this other situation be much more favorable to you? So it's all about negotiating and looking at various possibilities as opposed to offering suggestions or commands. Now,
Hmm.
there's a place for suggestions, certainly, and the suggestions can also come in a very non-threatening way and be part of the negotiation.
See, I've always understood it, and even having hypnosis a number of times myself, that it is the power of suggestion, because now your mind is open, if you will, to accept other views or information. How is the negotiating different than the suggestion? Or could you give an example? Maybe you're working with somebody and what would you say to them in a looking for a certain outcome? What would the negotiating look like?
Well, let's look at addiction. Be a good example.
Sure.
So, rather than telling someone that they're never going to have any desire for heroin, let's say, again, that they're going to become just horribly sick and feel terribly ill if they even consider using heroin, those kinds of suggestions. Rather than doing that, uh, I like to ask the person about the very best parts of the heroin experience. What does it do for you? And where do you find favor in the heroin experience? How does it make you think or feel about yourself? How does it make you see the world? How is the sensory experience of it? Where do you feel best when using the heroin? And what are the very best parts of that experience?
Hmm.
So I'm gathering information, which is part of the negotiation. And then I will ask, well, if you could get all of those good things, have that wonderful experience without using the heroin, would that be acceptable or desirable? Okay, typically I get a yes. And for most people, I get laughter, like, that's impossible. And what kind of magic are you thinking about?
Hmm.
But what I know is that most of the time when we put substances into the body, those substances are mimicking things that are already there. And so at that point, I will ask the unconscious, will it be all right for you to develop the very best parts of that heroin experience now? Most of the time, I get a yes. And within a few minutes, a person is getting the heroin high without using heroin.
Wow. Okay.
And and then what I like to do is develop a tool so that they can call up that experience whenever they want. And that way they get what they need or what they desire without actually using the substance. It's all natural and healthy.
Amazing. You know, we have an email and it's about addiction. So I feel we go to it now and then kind of work our
Oh,
way
sure.
through that.
Sure.
Instant feedback, Steve at gmail.com. Best way to reach us. This is from Lisa in Tulsa. She says, my brother is struggling with alcohol addiction. I only learned this recently. I understand hypnosis can help with addiction. Would it work for alcohol?
I use that very technique I described for all sorts of substances, alcohol included. Yes, I call it utilization sobriety. I've got a book by that name as well, and it describes the process. But it utilizes what's already there in the person, what their system has already learned, and then applies that so that they can have the best of the substance experience. And that makes it much, much easier to then start to take steps away from the substance and do all they need to make changes.
What is the difference, or is there a difference between a habit and an addiction?
Well, a habit is just a repetitive behavior that we just get locked into and it becomes automatic, something we don't think about. We just do because we've done it so many times. And an addiction is a physiological need, a real demand to engage something. And there's a lot that goes on in the brain that drives addiction and creates a craving for some substance. Now, sugar can be the substance because it works much the same as heroin as far as producing that addictive mechanism in the brain. So, so the addiction is a physiological driven need. Got to have it, got to do it, and it will push behaviors to make that happen. Whereas a habit is just autopilot. We're in the habit of locking the door when we go out, and then while we're driving away, we might say, "Well, wait a minute, did I remember to lock the door?"
Hmm.
We might go back and check and say, "Oh yeah, autopilot." So do it without even thinking about it.
So if you worked with somebody like Lisa's brother, would you look to naturally or safely substitute what the benefit they're gaining from the alcohol?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would ask this fella about the best parts of his alcohol experience, and then I would question the unconscious. Will it be all right to call up this experience now? And then I'd help him once he had the experience. Uh, and I would tell him that he can actually drive a car under the influence of his alcohol tool, if you will, because we're asking for the best parts of the alcohol. That means no downside, no stumbling, no confusion. And so he could have the best parts of the alcohol, benefit from that. And then there's another step I like to take, which also involves negotiation. And I will ask the unconscious, is there a force deep within that creates a need to do this repetitive behavior, which in his case would be drinking? Is there a force very deep within that is responsible for creating a need, a compulsion to really drink alcohol very consistently?
Hmm.
If I get a yes, then I will assume that there's a genetic driver for addiction, which a lot of people have because it does run in families. And then I will say, well, I'm going to call this the addictive force, and I'll ask, are there any parts working for the force, contributing to the force? Because usually there are these ego states or parts that are kind of the well, uh, a work team that helps fuel that addictive driver. And if there are parts, then I will create a new job for those parts because they will want something to do, and I'll tell them that the addictive force is soon going to become inactive. And when that happens, they won't have anything to do. However, there is a really good job available to them. And here's the job. I describe the job duties, and would you like to take this new job before you're out of work altogether? Typically, the parts will say yes. They don't want to be left with nothing to do. And so then once they're in their new job, I will ask the unconscious if this addictive force will be turned off. And typically it is. And then I will give the person I'm working with a one-page instruction sheet how to turn off the force on their own so that they can keep that addictive driver off all the time. And
Wow.
so that's also negotiation because I'm asking, will this force now be turned off now that the parts are gone? Typically, it's yes. And then sometimes I find parts that know how to turn off the force on their own, and they become what I call an emergency response team. And we develop a signaling system so that when the force comes on, they get an alarm signal and they go and turn it off right away.
So this negotiation that you've done with the subconscious in this example, that was a hypothetical job position that you brought up.
Well, it's a job that let's say there's lots and lots of jobs that I've created for people over the years, and it's just got to be a job that's good for their system. So, in this case with the alcohol, let's say there's 10 parts that have been working for the addictive force. I'll say this new job is a calming job, and it attempts to keep the entire system as calm as possible, as much of the time as possible, because everything in the system works best when the system is calm. So you're really doing good for the entire system by helping it stay calm, and you can be as creative as you like, calming the system. You can inspire some deep breathing at time. You can inspire just introducing calming thoughts or images, and blah blah blah, and lots of creative ways to calm the system. Would you
Wow.
like to take this brand new calming job? And
Hmm.
yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned the negotiation. What about the aggression? I'm trying to apply that here.
Okay. The aggression aggression isn't exactly the right word, but it's a contrast to that the negotiation when the operator is telling someone what they're going to experience, what they're going to do, or what they're not going to do, when they're offering suggestions that implies some kind of command, basically. That that would be, as I see it, more aggressive and a contrast. So if I was telling this person that's involved in alcohol that you're going to lose any interest in alcohol. You're going to get sick if you drink alcohol again. There's zillions of suggestions, that can be offered around alcohol, trying to get someone to stop. They may work well for somebody, but it's not my approach.
Very clear now. It's almost as if you as the practitioner would be aggressive in trying to convince the parts or parts of the subconscious that this is bad for you. Stop. It's not good. Look what could happen. This could happen. That could happen. This could happen. And maybe somebody would accept that, but it seems like the negotiator is a much better route.
Mhm. Well, I find that what I'm after is lasting change,
Mm.
and with the negotiation, it's easier to get the entire system on board, and the entire system say, "Oh, this works nice. Let's take it."
Hmm. What else can you tell us about this whole process? I've, as I shared, I've done hypnotherapy before, a number of years ago, worked
Mhm.
beautiful. Um, this is new territory. I always thought it was about the power of suggestion
Mhm.
within the session. Never even considered the negotiating.
Well, another instance, let's say, for negotiation, let's. Let's consider an eating disorder like anorexia nervosa. That's there's a high death rate with that eating disorder, unfortunately, because well, the body eats itself, eats the muscle, and ultimately eats the heart, and it's really nasty. So with anorexia, a person develops a false body image. The disorder lies to them and tells them that they're overweight, either in part of their body or their whole body. So they actually see themselves completely different than they really are. And so when I start working with someone who's anorexic, of course, they're telling me I'm not going to do treatment. I'm not going to, I'm not going to eat all that food because I'm too fat already. And so, so I said, well, would you like to just take a little time to to see what other people are seeing. We already know what you're seeing, and I'll honor that. But would you like to see yourself the way other people are seeing you? And most of the time they'll say sure. And so I invite the person into a trance, and then ask them to look over there at that full-length mirror. And there's a couple of glasses, pairs of glasses sitting on the ground next to the mirror, and want you to try on both pairs of glasses. Now, one of those pairs of glasses is an eating disorder lens, and so you put those on, you're going to see yourself just as you've been seeing yourself. And the other pair of glasses have reality lenses in them. So please put those
Hmm.
on, and you'll see yourself as other people are seeing you. And I want you to have some fun, just switching the glasses back and forth, and tell me, please, what you prefer. And so anyway, this is a way for a person to really see their options, that, oh,
Hmm.
this is another way that I am. This is another way I can see myself. And so once they've done that, I'll tell them, this is how other people are seeing you. So they're not lying to you. That you've seen it yourself, and
Hmm.
you know that you need to put some weight on. And so then at that point, they're willing typically to go through some treatment.
Amazing. I'm seeing hypnotherapy in a whole different light based on everything I'm learning today, Bart. And part of that is you are creative in coming up with these scenarios. It's I give you a lot of credit because you have to, think about this, be intentional about how you're going to present it. It's got to be something that has legs because, the subconscious has a good BS detector built in. So you have to find those ways. And, with the glasses, it seems reasonable. Hey, try these, put them on. You got nothing to lose. Look what you see. Look at that. Okay. So I'll give you a lot of credit. Good for you. I guess it comes with the territory. What's beautiful
Yeah.
is you can do this for anybody, anywhere. I was never in the same room with a hypnotherapist. It was always done virtual, of which you can do. What's the best way to find you?
Probably the website, which is Affinity, Affinity, Affinity Counseling and Hypnosis.com. The and is spelled out. And there's contact information there. And most of what we've been talking about, I've got in my latest book as well, and it's written for the average person, so lots of tools in there.
And what's that book called?
It's called of the Care of the Self Owner's Manual Revised, and Revised is the latest edition.
And can we find that on your website or where to buy it?
Yeah, it's on the website. It's also on Amazon under my name. Uh,
Terrific.
yeah.
Bart, great talking with you today. And thank you for the insight. Eye opener. And that
Oh,
coming from somebody who's done this before. So amazing.
no, it's been a delight, Steve.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And we'll catch up soon.
All right.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.